And just like that, we are here for episode number 3 of the Nutrient Health Project podcast. My name is Andrew Frisch. Thank you, everyone who is listening to this or watching this on YouTube. Thank you for joining me, for giving me your time, your attention, your ears. I greatly appreciate it. If you're new to the podcast, my mission here with this is to help everyone that hears this, that this is shared with, help them live healthier, eat healthier, move healthier, just experience a higher quality of life, because I think there are a lot of things that we could be doing just at a better quality and a higher standard right now when we're kind of accepting less from ourselves. So that's my mission with Nutrient Health and Fitness. That's my mission with this podcast. And that is apparently my life calling at 43 years of age. That's why I hop up out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning with my ass on fire, ready to do the day. So here we are, episode number 3. We are going to talk about one of the reasons why you're not succeeding. And I'm going to go over this because I have heard at least 4 or 5 people just in the last couple days, actually, clients say something to the effect to me of, well, I know what to do, I just don't do it. And some of you listening may have even been able to complete that sentence as I said it, right? I know what to do, I just don't do it. And then you get frustrated with yourself and you're not sure, well, why the hell am I not doing it? So if you are listening to this on a podcast player, again, thank you for listening. And please, if throughout the course of this, if I say anything that really hits home and that helps you and that benefits you and makes your life easier or improves the quality of it, please share it with anybody that you know, that you love, that you care about. If you're listening to it, I greatly appreciate. I greatly appreciate that. My throat is kind of raw, guys, so I apologize if I'm kind of like coughing and having to take sips throughout this. It's not COVID, I promise. But if you are listening to this, thank you. There are also videos on YouTube. If you search my name, Andrew Frisch, Frisch, or if you get on there and search Nutrient Health Project Podcast, it should pop up. So with that, no further ado, I believe is the phrase. Let's shrink my face down here on the slideshow there and get my face down here in the corner, and let's get rolling. So here's why you aren't succeeding. The subtitle of this, for those that aren't watching this, knowledge and goals versus behaviors and processes. And I still don't know if it's processes or processes. I'm going to go with processes because it makes me feel smarter. So here's why you aren't succeeding. Now, like I just said, I have a lot of people who say, I know what to do. I literally just in the last couple of days, 2 clients at the house said that while I was training them. And when you know what to do, like I said, this is knowledge versus behaviors, right? So if you know what to do, that's the very definition, that's knowledge. And we live in the age of the internet. So we live in the age of information, right? Information is everywhere. You get on, we literally have devices in our pockets that give you any answer that you're looking for, right? And the way we misuse those devices is a topic for another podcast. But we have every bit of knowledge in the history of mankind at our hands, and yet and still, rates of anxiety are increasing, right? Rates of suicide, rates of depression, these are all going up. Why are they going up if knowledge is what we need to succeed? So the very definition of knowing what to do is knowledge, right? We live in that age of information. So I've heard someone in the past say that if it was just about information, everyone would be walking around with 6-packs and Lamborghinis, right? Clearly we're not. So, and again, you can get online and search and find any diet information, and you can get the finer points of ketogenic dieting. You can get the finer points of a vegan diet. You can determine your macros through macro calculators. You can determine what your basal metabolic rate is. All of these different things. You can find any diet, any bit of information. You can find all kinds of free programs or very cheap, affordable programs, $9, $10 programs, $40 programs, whatever. The information is out there and the facts are out there. All of the facts are out there on the internet. But the problem is that, like, facts, even though they're great if you're trying to go on a game show and win Jeopardy or win trivia night at your local bar, they're great, but they're limited in their applicability, as I say that big word. So that's where people say, like, I know what to do, right? Again, we've got the facts. We have access to all of it. But then they follow it up and say, I just don't do it. And that can be a very damning statement because we think that like, well, I know what to do and everybody else knows what to do and other people are doing it because I see them again on the internet doing the things that I'm not able to do. And I've had some people say that they're sick of themselves. And I hate hearing that because that hits a chord with me because I spent about 20 years of my life. Again, I'm 43. I spent about most of my 20s and 30s being sick of myself because I kept thinking, what's wrong? And I kept trying to Google the answers and Google the supplements and things that, what was it that I wasn't getting? And at the end of this too, I'll kind of touch base on that a little bit more. But so if you're not doing it, you're probably asking yourself, like, why not? And most people, I think, if you ask your brain a question, whether it's a good or bad question, your brain is going to give you the answer. So if you say, hey, brain, what's wrong with me? Your brain's going to give you an answer, right? And just try this little experiment right now. Like pause the podcast and ask yourself, what's wrong with me? Your brain is going to give your answers, right? It might not be answers that you want to hear, but it will give you your answers. And then if you stop, give yourself a couple seconds and ask yourself, well, what's right about me? Like, what am I doing right? What's good about me? That voice initially, if you're not used to that practice, it might be a little quieter, but if you ask your brain a better question, it will give you better answers that are more self-serving, and lift you up to a higher level instead of beating you down. So I think a lot of times when people say, like, I know what to do, I just don't do it, the next thing is like, well, what's wrong with me? Why am I not doing it? And there's a number of things that can really be causing this. Are you overwhelmed? Because again, we live in the age of information. Information is abundant, right? There's crazy facts about how much information is being published all of the time on the internet every single day. So it's very easy, to be overwhelmed, right? I've talked in previous podcasts about clients who said like, well, I don't know what's wrong. Like I'll sprint. I push really hard and I sprint for a while and then I fall off. And it's like, well, sprinting is not the answer. Maybe you're not overwhelmed. Maybe you're not sprinting. Maybe you're just not sure. Maybe there's a lot of uncertainty. Maybe you have a lack of clarity in your life. Maybe you're not really sure what it is exactly that you're trying to do, right? You can say like, okay, I want to lose weight, but it's like, well, how much weight? Have you gotten hyper specific? Do you have hyper clarity over exactly what you want to lose? And not only that, but do you have a lack of clarity about when you want to lose it by, right? And as soon as possible is not an answer. That's too vague. Again, you need specificity, right? I'm dropping the big words today. So you need to be specific about what you're trying to do, when you're trying to do it, and how you're trying to do it. So you could be lacking clarity, but then you could also just have excuses. And the most damning thing about excuses is that they're valid, right? So like, I started training another client who she worked with me about 4 years ago, ironically, almost 4 years ago to the day. And she has cerebral palsy. And she could have every right in the world to sit at home and say, poor me, and I can't do this and I can't do that. But like, she's not. She lost 50 pounds the first time, like after working with me, right? She's going to school. She's got her associates and she's going to be getting her bachelor's in May. She's raising a child and all of this with CP, right? Like, so she has every right to sit home and feel sad for herself. She has every right to be sad and depressed, but she's not. And that's, like I said, the most heinous thing about excuses is that they're valid and we have to overcome them. So that's something to think about. Like, is that part of the problem? But in the scope of this, again, I know what to do. I just don't do it. Here's why you're not just doing it, even if you know what to do. Because ultimately, when it comes to improving yourself, and again, generally the scope of this podcast is going to be weight loss or muscle gain. But for me, I enjoy helping people improving in whatever they're trying to do, whether it's figuring out how to save money, overcoming anxiety, overcoming depression, overcoming suicidal thoughts, going back to school, quitting a job they hate, getting out of a bad relationship, whatever the hell it is. Like, I want to help people say like, hey, you are worth more. You can do more with your life, right? And I know that might be altruistic and that might be a little over the top, but like, I don't give a damn. It is what it is. And I hope that this podcast grows to something bigger than that. But in any of those facets, you're playing a game of behaviors and processes. So when you're playing with behaviors and processes, those things are so much bigger than knowledge or goals. And I'll get into a little more detail on what I'm talking about with all of this. But knowledge and goals alone aren't going to win the game for you, right? Again, if knowledge was the thing, if information was the thing, we'd all be walking around with six-pack abs and driving Lamborghinis or Teslas or whatever the hell your car of choice is. So you can't win this with knowledge and goals alone. Knowledge and goals are important, right? You need a goal in order to really get your ass off the couch and figure out what you're trying to do in your life. You need knowledge to be able to like kind of, add two and two together. Without the knowledge that equals four, you're kind of screwed, right? Or maybe as you're going and you're in your weight loss journey and you're trying to progress and you're trying to lose weight and you set initially say, hey, I want to lose 50 pounds and you lose 25 and you're like, I feel pretty good at just 25, right? That goal is going to shift now. You don't want to lose 50 anymore. You want to hit 25. Or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe you say, I want to lose 25 pounds and you lose that 25 and you're like, damn, I feel really good. I think I could lose another 25 and make it a total of 50. So knowledge and goals alone aren't enough. They are important, but they're going to grow and shift. And what'll happen is if someone's not focusing on the behaviors and processes, which we'll get to in a second, those knowledge, those bits of knowledge and those goals can end up leading to overthinking, can end up leading to you being overwhelmed, and can end up leading to you eventually burning out and going back to the whole thing of like, I just don't do it. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm not sure why I'm not doing this. And again, it's because you're going off of just knowledge and goals. So I think it's time to take a different approach. Now, how do you fix this? How do you say, okay, I'm going to go from knowledge and goals to behaviors and processes? So there's a couple mental models I use with this. And one of them is I look at, if you're familiar with the kind of thinking of a bird's eye view and a bug's eye view. So bird's eye view, right, way up, looking down, big picture thinking. That's kind of where like your knowledge and goals are, right? Like your goal is going to be, okay, big picture, bird's eye view, I want to lose 50 pounds, right? That's your bird's eye view. That's your goal. And you have the knowledge that like, okay, well, the keto diet has worked for me in the past, or vegan diet has worked for me in the past, or just eating a good, healthy, balanced diet. How crazy is that? That's worked for me in the past. I don't have to do anything extreme. So that's your bird's eye view, up top, big picture. The bug's eye view, down low, on the ground, surface level, that's your behaviors and your processes. So that bug's eye view, where that bird's eye view is like, okay, big picture, I want to lose 50 pounds in 6 months. Okay, that's doable. Bug's eye view is going to be, all right, what am I going to do today to make sure that tomorrow I've lost the amount of weight I need to lose to progress? So if you break that down and say, hey, 50 pounds in 6 months is what I want to do, that means you're trying to lose 25 pounds in 3 months, a little over 8 pounds a month. So now you're trying to break that down to about 2 pounds a week, right? So you're trying to just kind of niche that down. I hope my math on the spot is good because I'm still kind of like fresh on this podcast thing, but you're trying to bug's eye view rather, what you're trying to do on a day-to-day basis. What are the behaviors and the processes that you're trying to like enact, for lack of a better term, that you're trying to employ on your everyday. Now, once you have those things in place, it just comes down to a matter of taking action and assessing how the action is working for you. So what I mean by that is, okay, going back to the weight loss metaphor. So I want to lose 50 pounds in 6 months. I need to lose 25 in 3 months. I need to lose a little over 8 pounds per month. I need to lose about 2 pounds per week. Well, let's say you start doing whatever diet is that you want to follow. You use that knowledge and you start employing that as a behavior and a process to say, okay, I'm going to cut out sodas. I'm going to cut out candy. And I'm going to eat like an adult for a little bit. And as I do that, and I say that with a little bit of disdain in my voice, because like sometimes it's just that. It's like, just drop the candy for a little bit, drop the sodas, and like just eat like grown-up food sometimes. And like you can do wonders for your body. But I'm going to do that. And then let's say that after the first 2 or 3 weeks, you've already lost like 5, 6, 7, 8 pounds, right? Or I had a lady sign up with us a couple months ago that in the first 2 weeks, she lost 12 pounds. And she was going hard keto and lost 60 pounds before meeting us and was stuck. So I switched her off of that, changed some things up, and she started losing. Let's say that you employ that type of diet and your weight loss is on point for the first few weeks. You assess and you say, yep, things are going pretty good. Okay, cool. You can keep kind of rolling, right? You don't have to change anything. But let's say that now you're going to try to use a higher fat diet, lower carb diet, because that's worked for you in the past. So surely it'll work again, as long as you're just, 100% committed and you're making it that sprint and that Herculean effort that we've talked about in the past. And 2 or 3 weeks in, nothing is happening and weight's not budging. You've taken action. Okay, great. But now you assess and you look at, well, the weight's not budging. You have one of two choices then. Do you say, well, screw it, I guess I'm just not going to be able to lose weight anymore? Or do you say, maybe I should try something different. Let me switch it up a little bit. Let me start adding in a little bit of carbohydrates, right? And it's the thing with all of this is like it's nuance. And it's so easy for people to kind of completely cut out carbs or completely go all carb. And it's very hard to have a balance for most people. But again, that's where these behaviors and processes come in. So as you take action, as you make decisions, as you begin working on your behaviors, and by behaviors, it's simple things as far as like, my behavior for today to lose whatever, a third of a pound or a half of a pound today to make sure that I lose 2 pounds in the week. The behavior is that I'm going to stop drinking sodas for the day, or my behavior is that I'm going to go for a walk, a 30-minute walk first thing in the morning. Or my behavior is I'm going to stop eating candy, maybe completely, or maybe it's just after 7 o'clock, or maybe I'm going to go to bed fasted for 4 or 5 hours. Those are behaviors. Those are the things where people drop the ball because they say, I know what I got to do, I just don't do it. And they don't do it because they don't do that bug's eye view of what are you actually going to do today to make sure that tomorrow builds on today, so that you are where you want to be in a week, so that you are where you want to be in a month, in 3 months, in 6 months, et cetera, et cetera. We're not very intuitive about bug's eye planning with our behaviors, with the processes that we do throughout the day. We're not very intuitive with that for the long-term goals, right? We're great at saying, I want to do this thing. And then we kind of drop the ball in saying, okay, great. Well, how the hell are you going to do that thing? So that, I think, is one of the biggest reasons why people aren't succeeding, is they're just dropping the ball there. So all of this rambling and yapping at you about all of this right now, what can you do to start to implement some of this? What does this look like real time? So a few things to think about. Excuse me. Number one, what's a goal? What's the goal that you're trying to do, right? What's the thing that you're whatever listening to this podcast for? You're working with a coach, whatever the thing is. What's the goal that you're aiming for? Okay. Does that goal then need to be broken down? If the goal is I want to lose a pound, probably doesn't need to be broken down, right? If I want to lose 5 pounds, I mean, it kind of depends on where you're at. If you're trying to lose over 100 and right now you just want to lose 5 because you think that's a good amount right now, you probably don't need to worry too much about breaking that down. But if you're trying to lose that last 5 pounds, your body is sure as hell going to fight you a lot harder to let go of that last 5 versus the first 5. So you might want to break that down. There's context in all of this, right? But if that goal is big, you need to break it down. It's great to have it as a long-term goal, but make it smaller, right? There's that whole saying of how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So if the goal is something big, if it's audacious, if it gets you really excited, it's probably big and it probably needs to be broken down. And that's one of the other problems, is that a big, exciting goal feels great. And then we tell everybody about it. And then when we actually go about doing it, then it gets kind of difficult. And breaking a big, exciting goal down into smaller parts, that's not very exciting, because it's like, well, I'm going to lose 50 pounds. Okay, great. But first you got to lose 1 pound. It's like, well, no, shit, I want to lose 50. Okay, great. But you got to lose 1 first. So does the goal need to be broken down? So if we've got that, we've got the big goal and we've broken it down, we've divided into however many, 1, 2, 10 mini goals, whatever it is. Now, once you've broken those mini goals down, now you have to decide the actionable steps on each one of those sub goals. So what does that look like? Again, the weight loss thing, right? If you're trying to lose 50 pounds, big goal, you break it down. I need to lose 2 pounds every week. Okay, that's, not even a half a pound a day, and it's not going to be smooth sailing. But let's say, what do I need to do to lose 2 pounds in this week? That's your actionable steps. And what are things, again, actionable steps, right? Not Herculean efforts. I'm not doing anything right now, but I'm going to start running 5 days a week. I'm going to go to the gym and lift 4 days a week. I'm going to drink a gallon of water a day. I'm going to get 8 hours of sleep. I'm going to stop smoking. I'm going to stop drinking. I'm going to, the list goes on and on and on. Make them actionable and doable things that you can maintain, because again, you're trying to get to that marathon, right? You're trying to get to that long-term goal. Excuse me. So actionable steps on those sub goals. And as you're taking those actionable goals, you need to make sure that you're paying attention to what are the results doing. And if the results are not matching up with your expectations, are your expectations realistic? But if they're not matching up with the expectations, then how do you assess and how do you what's the word I'm looking for here? How do you decide for new actions, right? How do you reset your actions, I guess? So you need hyper clarity on every step of this. And this is where people, again, it's hard, right? And this is what we do at Nutrient Health and Fitness, is like, we help people find, hey, this is what you're going to do for this week. This is what you're going to do for this week. Do you need to know how to do meal plans? Great. Download the meal plan guide, right? Do you need to know, okay, I've never done keto. How do I do keto? Great. Get the keto guide, right? Whatever the thing is, you've got to make those actionable steps, and you have to be hyper specific and have hyper clarity in your mind on what you're doing. And that's another reason why this whole 0-day challenge is such a big benefit, because every day I know that I'm doing those 12 things that are helping guide me and push me forward. And if you haven't heard the 0-day challenge, this is a great opportunity for me to bring this up, because I want to point out something extremely important here. And I pointed this out to a client yesterday or the day before, so the 12 things I'm doing right now, my wife and I, she's doing 9, I think, but the 12 I'm doing, they're written on this board. I should have them memorized at this point, but the 12 I'm doing. And again, all credit goes to Andy Frisella and the 75 hard, his challenge, but like, as braggadocious and foolhardy as this sounds, like the 75 hard wasn't hard enough. I say that and I'm on day 11, right? So by day 36, I might come crying and like, oh my God, it was too much. But that 75 hard tasks, there's 7 of them. I lifted it to 12. So my 12 tasks right now: workout 1 time a day, workout a 2nd time a day. One of those 2 workouts has to be outside, and they have to be a minimum of 45 minutes. I have to drink a gallon of water every day. I have to do progress pictures every day. I have to have no cheat meals and no substances at all. No alcohol, no nothing, right? No weed, no edibles, no nothing. Sobriety. I have to follow a diet, which for Holly and I is intermittent fasting. I have a window of stopping my food by 3 p.m. because we're usually in bed by like 7:30 or 8 because we get up at 3. But I'm typically able to stop eating around 1:30 or 1:40 at the latest, and I feel pretty good with that. I have to read 10 pages of nonfiction, and I'll tell you what, like, as far as like being a book crushing monster, it sounds like a kid's book, but as far as being a book crushing monster, nothing like having a goal of reading 10 pages a day, because again, that's a perfect example of what I've been talking about this whole podcast, right? I'm going to read this book. Great. You can probably see behind me, like there's a whole bunch of books back there. There are other bookshelves over here to my side that you can't see. I am like, a book collector. But it's not been until, hey, I'm going to read 10 pages every day. And more often than not, I'm reading more like 15, 18, or 30 pages a day. But I'm making it a point to do it. Instead of being the serial like book starter, bookmark putter inner, closing book putting on the shelfer that I've been for years, now I'm actually knocking out books left and right. So I have to read at least 10 pages of nonfiction every day. I have to journal every day. I have to meditate every day. I have to take a cold shower every day. I am trying to do less than 20 minutes of scrolling on social media or Reddit right now. And then I have to do an X factor, which today, this is my X factor. Yesterday, it was working on the website. So I have to do something to move that ball forward. I'm bringing all of this up because on those 12 steps, number one, they're giving me hyper clarity on what's important in my life, right? And I'm at day 11 and I'm already like, shit, what am I going to do at day 75? Because I don't want to go back to like normal Andy. I kind of like this version of myself because I'm getting shit done. So I'm bringing it up for that, but I'm also bringing it up for the fact that there's no shame in resetting things, because I was talking to a client yesterday about this, and she had a few too many things kind of on the docket. And I wanted to make it more doable. I wanted to say like, hey, it's great. Like, again, that ambition and saying like, I'm going to do this. And that's where we all kind of fall short, because we set the bar ambitiously high, and then we don't stop to think about what that actually looks like in the day, because it's so easy to say, hey, tomorrow I'm going to do that. Okay, ask yourself, what if today was tomorrow? What is that going to feel like right now? If you're saying, I'm going to do that thing tomorrow, it's so easy to put off. But if today, right now, is tomorrow, would you feel any different about doing the thing that you're saying you're going to do tomorrow? So sometimes it's better to kind of scale it back. And I told her that, hey, out of these 12 things, right, that might seem like Herculean to other people, I have 8 of those 12 things done by 8:30 in the fucking morning. So the other 4, like, I can't get my second workout done until my wife gets home because we're doing that together. So like, I'm not going to get that last one done until like 5:15 or 5:30. But I've got 8 of the 12 done by 8:30 because that's just my morning ritual, just bop, 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 going through and checking them all off. So there's no shame in saying like, okay, I bit off more than I can chew. Let me take a smaller bite. Let me reset that, because in resetting something and scaling back if you need to, or taking a new approach, you are allowing yourself to continue to take action. And action will always be greater than inaction, because even if the action that you're taking is a wrong action, you're still finding out what didn't work. Whereas inaction, you're not doing shit. You're just sitting there stagnant as things are passing you by. And believe me, for my 20s and my 30s, I lived off of potential. I was happy with people saying like, you could do something if you applied yourself. I mean, even before my 20s and 30s, I remember like so many teachers telling me that I had a good brain and just apply yourself. I'm like, yeah, you're my teacher. That's what you're supposed to say. But living off of potential doesn't get you anywhere, right? So taking action is always going to be better than inaction, even if it's a wrong action. And if it is a wrong action, that's where you reset it and you go in a different direction. So everything I've been talking about, setting the behaviors, setting the processes, getting in that bug's eye view and understanding what am I going to do every day to move it forward. It's not sexy, right? I can't put together a program online and say like, have better behaviors today. Nobody's going to buy that. Nobody's going to give a damn about it. But here's the thing. Like I said, I'm 43. I've been through alcohol. I've been through drug abuse. I've been through eating disorders. I've been through like unhappy relationships. I've been through going to bed praying I don't wake up in the morning. And now life is pretty damn good. Like my marriage is amazing. I'm in great shape. Like I feel great. I'm healthy. I'm happy. I'm working on becoming a better podcaster, right? I'm working on building the business. I'm working on growing our clientele. Like everything is really, really good. But for the majority of my 20s and 30s, I was always looking for like the right phrase or the right book or the right thought to come along. I can remember going out for hikes out in one of the local parks and downloading a podcast and like literally hoping that this podcast I was going to play, excuse me, is going to give me the thing that I need to hear in order to overcome my problems, right? In order to overcome the alcohol, in order to overcome the drug abuse and the eating disorders. Like, let this podcast just have something that I hear that's like, oh, that's the thing. And every once in a while I would hear something where I was like, wow, that's really profound. And it would kind of nudge me forward a little bit. But ultimately, I didn't have the behaviors and I didn't have the processes. So I fell right back off eventually, whether it was a day or later that day or a month or whatever it might be, because again, it was knowledge that I was acquiring. It wasn't a behavior. And the behavior is not sexy, but the behavior is what's going to get you there. You're not going to find a book. You can find a book that motivates you, right? But motivation is fleeting. It doesn't last. Behaviors are long lasting, right? Knowledge and goals can be fleeting. Behaviors and processes will be long lasting. They will help you achieve those. So think about the nitty gritty details. Think about the bug's eye view. Break down your big goals to smaller goals, and then create and match behaviors and processes that will accomplish those mini goals. And before you know it, you'll reach that big goal, that big, audacious, exciting, scary goal that you want to get. It will get you there if you do it through behaviors and processes. There is no other way to do this, guys. This is the key to success, as boring as it is. I went through so many books that were telling me, like, well, journal and write things down and keep track of your thoughts and track your success and all that. I'm like, yeah, I don't want that boring shit. Like, tell me something good. What's the real secret? And like, this is the real secret. I'm telling you, at 43 years old, this is how you do it. The best thing that my wife has ever done for me, outside of being her, outside of like being herself, is getting me a planner for the year. I'm pointing back there because it's back there in the kitchen, but like keeping track of everything, my habits, my decisions, my goals, that helps keep me focused. That helps tell me, like, hey, I need these behaviors to get to those goals. So now the only thing that's left for you is go succeed. Go do these things, break them down, determine what your processes are, adjust your behaviors as you need. And I will see you guys on episode 4. I meant to say something at the beginning of this episode and I completely forgot. We should have our first guest either on episode 4 or episode 5, depending on how our schedule is aligned. But I'm excited to bring Joe, my friend, my buddy, the Q&A guru, the Q-ru, if you want. I'm hesitant with saying that because he is not QAnon affiliated, but he is the Q&A guru. So he's got some questions that he's going to throw my way, and he won't let me. Well, I don't want to know what they are, but he's refusing to tell me, so he catches me on the spot. So we'll see what they are. But anyways, thank you everyone for listening. I hope you all have a great day. I hope you got something from this. I hope you're thinking about the behaviors and processes that you want to apply. If you have questions, guys, put comments below this video on YouTube. Find me on Facebook, Andrew Frisch. Find me on Facebook, Nutrient Health and Fitness. I'm on Twitter, relentless Andrew, relentless_Andrew, and nutrient-health.com on the web. So everybody have a fantastic day. I will talk to you on the next episode, and go be awesome, guys. That's all I got. Later.